more questions are emerging about government's Gold for Oil program after the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, gave details on Sunday about how he convinced an undefined businessman to purchase gold worth 3.1 billion Ghana cedis from the vault of the Bank of Ghana. Well, according to the Vice President, Ghana's economy was almost collapsing, similar to the worst-case scenario of Sri Lanka, a reason for which he called the governor of the central bank to commence the purchase of the gold overnight. Well, addressing the media on his plans in the ongoing going into the future, Dr. Bawumia says he plans to institutionalize the Gold for Oil program if elected president. Let's listen to him. We'll be back with some analysis.
It was very scary. In fact, in 2022, this economy was on the verge of collapse. Inflation was up, and my worry at that time, frankly, was that I could see this country moving towards Sri Lanka. And it was in that context that I came up with two policies. One was the Gold for Oil policy and the Gold Purchase Program. Why do I say so? In the last couple of years, Bank of Ghana under the Gold Purchase Program has been able to buy $5 billion of gold. $5 billion of gold. Think about it. We've gone to the IMF to look for $3 billion, which is going to be paid over 3 years. And this is why we are going through it. But locally, we've been able to buy $5 billion. And this is why there are no queues for petrol. This is why Dumso has not happened in Ghana. Because otherwise, where would you have gotten $5 billion from your reserves? Where would you have gotten $5 billion from your reserves to keep up all the payments you needed to make? So that has been, for us, the game changer. And so the pilot that we are seeing with the Gold Purchase Program and the Gold for Oil Program, I want to institutionalize it going forward. And this is why, by the grace of God, when I am president next year, we are going to institutionalize this. One big company had 3.1 billion Ghana cedis. They wanted to externalize 3.1 billion Ghana cedis. And they were looking for foreign exchange. Can you imagine the impact on our market? If someone comes out with 3.1 billion cedis looking for dollars. So they were trying to talk to the Bank of Ghana and all of that. So their chairman flew into the country and came to see me and said, we are having these problems and we have to externalize our dividends and all of that. We have 3.1 billion and we are looking for dollars. So looking for dollars from all the banks and all of that. So I listened to them and then I asked, will you take gold? They said, oh, sure. Gold is forex. That is not a problem. So I called the governor and I said, look, why don't we put this 3.1 billion through the Gold Purchase Program? And guess what? It was done virtually overnight. And their money was given to them.
Well, that's the Vice President there and flag bearer of the NPP engaging the media yesterday, just giving some clarity as to how government saved the economy with the Gold for Oil deal. But civil society is questioning the transparency surrounding this policy, adding that the Vice President has more questions to answer about the $3.1 billion spent on the Gold for Oil policy. Well, Steve Mantiao, his spokesperson for coalition of CSOs in the extractive sector, he joins us live here on NewsDesk with more. Thank you for your time here on NewsDesk. Now, initially, there were concerns about how much public funds is being sunk into the Gold for Oil policy. But now the Vice President says $3.1 billion was used. Does this settle the matter relating to transparency for you?
Well, thank you very much. And let me indicate here that on this occasion, I speak in my capacity as the co-chair for the Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, GAITI. And to make the point that the matter related to gold for oil is something that has come to the attention of my committee, and we've dealt with it extensively in our 2020 report. So viewers and listeners can Google the Ghana EITI 2020 report on the mining sector. It's hosted on the website of the Ministry of Finance. The first point I need to make is the fact that the whole Gold for Oil program has been shrouded in secrecy in ways that does not build public trust. Right from day one, the Ghana EIT and its report challenged the government to disclose the policy document underpinning the program. To date, the policy document has not been disclosed. And we thought that you couldn't actually implement a program that has not been carefully thought through and documented. Secondly, we noted that there hadn't been adequate consultations around the program, and which actually deprives the program of expertise and expert input, and also civil society support. Along the value chain of this program, we noticed that there were various segments. First and foremost, we needed to think through how we finance our gold purchases. From the beginning, the gold purchases, when the program was announced, that we expected that the gold purchases will be from the national budget. So we went into the budget to find the provision in the budget for the local gold purchases. We found none. Later, we were to discover that the Bank of Ghana was providing the finance, and this was on the blind side of Parliament. That amounts to extra budgetary financing by the central bank, which is not good economic governance practice. And we are not surprised, therefore, that the World Bank advised the Bank of Ghana to pull out of the program. Secondly, we also noted that you will not take your gold to the market and sell it yourself. So you will need intermediaries, people who deal in gold sales and the rest. We're not too clear how we were actually procuring those services. And we thought that it was important for transparency around who was actually performing the transaction on behalf of the state. Again, once you are able to sell your gold on the international market, you needed to procure the oil products, the finished products. Now, it was not too clear how we were even selecting the suppliers. And so on both ends, there were some opacity around the transactions, and which in our view gives room for all manner of rent-seeking and corrupt activities. So we, in our report, challenged government to make those full disclosures in terms of the buyer and supplier selection related to this Gold for Oil program. As we speak, we still do not have those disclosures. Again, let me make the point that the Gold for Oil program perhaps may be a good idea, but we are not able to confirm what the Vice President has said because of the opacity around the transactions. We again note that, the Gold for Oil program is designed and thought through properly, could actually indeed help with the availability of forex in this country. But it is also equally important to recognize that it does not deal with the volatility effect of gold as a mineral on our national budget. So we thought we could, as a country, increase the stockpile of gold that we have, which the Ghana Central Bank is already doing. So then the Gold for Oil program becomes complementary. But at the same time, there was the additional opportunity to begin to take your mineral royalty from the large-scale gold producers in cash, rather than, your mineral royalty in gold rather than in cash. But we continue, even while we are seeking to procure more gold, we continue to take our mineral royalty from the large-scale operators in cash, which I don't think is good enough, because if you are a country that wants to increase your stockpile of gold, then of course you want to shift from taking your royalty in cash to in kind. So there are all these issues around the Gold for Oil program. And I think if the, the vice president, now the presidential candidate for the MPP, can provide further details on these issues, it will help to build public trust, and perhaps we'll be able to confirm the assertions that he's making. And
further details we will get shortly, because Dennis Miracles Abuaji is in the studio with us. But we're yet to receive an audit report on the Gold for Oil program, either from the Auditor General or other related agencies. What would you recommend moving forward to ensure that there is better transparency with this deal?
Yeah, we need to understand not just only the benefit side, we need to also understand the cost dimensions. We actually undertaking this program at a certain cost, which we do not know. So I would not be satisfied if somebody told me this has been the benefit. What has been the transactional cost? And how have we financed the transactional cost? I think that would be very, very important in unearthing any acts of corruption in these transactions.
Now, would you recommend a parliamentary probe into the deal? Because that's some of the concerns civil society have been raising.
Well, initially, my committee wanted the government on its own to make the disclosures. So as I indicated, and I refer viewers and listeners again to the Ghana EITI report of 2020, and I think 2021-22 also touches on this. We wanted the government on its own to make these disclosures. But since the government has failed or refused to make these disclosures, I think a parliamentary probe will be in order.
Thank you, Dr. Steve Mantio, for your time here on Newsdesk. Well, let's...